In the deep corners of the galaxy, there was a famous school called Starpoint Academy. Only the smartest alien students from different planets studied there. The classroom was big and full of strange creatures. Some had wings, some had 3 eyes, and one even floated instead of walking. Today's lesson was about banned planets. Professor Core, a tall being with crystal skin, stood in front of the class. His voice echoed through the room. Today, we learn about a planet called Earth. The name flashed on the screen behind him. Some students looked confused. Others started laughing. A yellow-skinned student with sharp teeth shouted, "Earth? That's the weak little rock where creatures used to fight over food." Another added, "Didn't they almost destroy their own planet with something called nukes?" Laughter filled the room. Professor Core smiled. "Yes, Earth is on the banned list. No ship may land there. No contact is allowed." Zarn, a quiet alien with blue skin and large eyes, raised a hand. "But why is it banned? If they are so weak, why is it dangerous?" The professor shrugged. "Many reasons: old wars, chaos. Human minds were unstable. Long ago, the council decided Earth is not worth the risk." "But they are primitive," said a student from planet Velkar. "They used metal sticks and moved on wheels." More laughter followed. To make them laugh even more, the professor showed an old video. The screen showed black and white footage of humans in old clothes, throwing rocks and starting fires. Some students laughed so hard they almost fell off their seats. "Look at them. What are those things on their feet?" "Shoes." "What's that? A cart? That's their ship?" Zarn, however, didn't laugh. He kept looking at the word banned, written in red under the name Earth. It didn't make sense. If Earth was truly harmless, why was it banned instead of forgotten? Zarn slowly opened his tablet and searched the galactic archive. Most files about Earth were restricted, but one popped up. It said, "Classified Earth footage, level 5 clearance required." Strangely, the file opened without a password. Zarn frowned. That wasn't normal. He whispered to his friend, "Look at this." The screen showed a dark hallway in a prison ship. The video was old and had glitches, but the voice of the ship's AI could be heard. "Human prisoner 01B in holding cell." Zarn touched the play button. The classroom slowly grew quiet. A tall human sat in a metal chair, hands tied, eyes closed. He looked calm, even peaceful. The alien guards around him were relaxed. One even laughed. "Look at it. Doesn't even move, like a sleeping beast." Another guard said, "These things are weak. We had to use 10 stun shots just to catch it. Still didn't scream." Then the lights flickered. The video shook a little. Static lines crossed the screen. The guards looked around. One asked, "Did you hear that?" A low hum started in the background. The ship's lights dimmed. Then one by one, the cameras in the hallway began shutting off. The human opened his eyes. They were not red, not glowing, just normal human eyes. But something in them made everyone in the classroom go silent. One guard stepped back. "Why? Is the AI quiet?" he asked. The ship's voice returned, but sounded scared. "Energy source detected, unknown, warning, containment breach possible." Zarn leaned closer to the screen. The human hadn't moved. He was still sitting, still calm. But the door to his cell began to unlock by itself. Without touching anything, a bright flash hit the screen. Static. The video glitched and then returned. The human was now standing outside the cell, alone, no guards, no sounds. The professor walked forward and tried to stop the video. "That's enough. This footage is not—" But the screen wouldn't turn off. The human looked directly into the camera, and he spoke. "You should have left Earth alone." The screen went black. No one in the classroom said a word. No one laughed now. The students looked at each other, unsure of what they just saw. The professor stepped back slowly, eyes wide. Zarn looked at his tablet. The file was gone, deleted. The system said no record found. He sat back in his seat, heart racing. The word primitive echoed in his mind, but now it sounded wrong. Maybe humans were not primitive. Maybe they were hiding something. Maybe Earth was banned not because it was weak, but because it was too strong to control. Zarn whispered to himself, "What are humans really?" The classroom was silent. No one moved. The laughter from earlier had disappeared. The strange video still echoed in everyone's mind. A human, calm, sitting, then standing outside his cell without touching anything. The words were still clear. "You should have left Earth alone." Zarn stared at the black screen. The file had deleted itself. That never happened. Files didn't vanish like that, not even in Starpoint Academy's powerful system. Something about that footage was not normal. Not at all. Professor Core broke. The silence. "Enough, that file was old, corrupted, ignore it." His voice sounded less confident now. "But the human," Zarn started, "was a trick of the camera," the professor snapped. Class dismissed. Students left the room quietly. No more jokes, no more Earth jokes. Zarn stayed behind. He looked at the screen, then at his tablet. The file was gone, but a tiny fragment had saved itself in his backup folder. It was damaged, but still playable. Later that night, in his small dorm room, Zarn played the clip again. This time it continued further than before. He turned off the lights and watched. The human stood in the hallway, empty. No guards. The ship's warning. Alarms blinked in the background. The camera moved as if someone or something was walking behind it. The human didn't run. He walked slowly, silently. Doors opened by themselves as he passed. Lights turned off, one by one. Then a voice, deep and mechanical, spoke. "Power source, not found. Movement, impossible to track." Zarn paused. "The video. What kind of power is this?" he whispered. The camera shook again, then a shadow moved in the background. It looked like the shape of a guard, but it dissolved like smoke. The human turned his head slightly, like he already knew, like he could feel everything happening. Zarn felt cold. He had studied hundreds of species, strong ones, fast ones, some with wings, others with claws. But this human, he didn't need strength. He had something else. Zarn remembered the words from class. Earth is banned. But now the ban felt less like a punishment and more like a warning. The video continued. The human reached the control room of the prison ship. The lights inside flickered wildly. Machines sparked and shut down. Screens showed errors. The crew had vanished. All systems were failing, but no weapon had been fired. The ship's AI tried to reboot. "Emergency, unknown biological presence. Has overridden all control. Please state your purpose." The human finally answered. His voice was calm. "I want to go home." Zarn paused again. The screen showed Earth's image for a second. Beautiful. Blue and green. So alive. But then, red text covered it. Access denied. Planet sealed. Zarn leaned back. The galaxy had locked humans away from their home. Or maybe humans had locked themselves in. The last part of the video showed the human standing still in the control room. Around him, machines shook. Lights exploded. And then, everything went black. No sounds, no signal. Just a final message from the system shutdown. Warning, do not engage with humans. Zarn turned off the screen. He couldn't sleep that night. Questions filled his mind. What kind of species could control machines just by feeling? The human didn't use a weapon. He didn't run, he didn't fight, he just walked. The next morning, the students whispered about the video. Some said it was fake. Others looked scared. No one laughed anymore. One student from a warrior race asked Zarn, "Do you think humans have magic?" "No," Zarn replied softly. "Not magic, something else, something old, something we don't understand." Professor Core avoided eye contact with everyone. He didn't speak about Earth again. The topic was removed from the lesson plan, but Zarn couldn't forget. He began reading old texts, ancient reports. Most of them were gone or locked, but small pieces remained. Every piece told the same story. Humans were different. They didn't follow rules of power or evolution. They didn't rely only on strength or speed. Their true power came from the inside, from their minds, and maybe something deeper: emotion, willpower, belief. Zarn remembered the way the human looked into the camera. He didn't scream. He didn't beg. He only spoke one sentence. And that sentence made the whole class fall silent. Something was wrong with the way the galaxy remembered Earth. Something was missing. Zarn made a decision. He wanted to know more. The truth was being hidden. Someone, somewhere, was afraid of humans. But why? He opened his map of the galaxy, found Earth. The system showed a warning. Do not approach. High risk. And below that, human activity. Unknown. Unknown. That word said it all, Zarn whispered to himself. They weren't afraid because humans were weak. They were afraid because humans were silent. Zarn couldn't stop thinking about the video. The human didn't break the prison ship with weapons. He didn't fight. He didn't run. He didn't even touch anything. But still, everything around him shut down. How? No one in the academy had answers, and no one wanted to talk about it. Professors ignored questions. Students avoided eye contact. Even the school library had locked its files about Earth. But Zarn kept searching. One night he found an old hidden report deep in the archive. It had no name, no author, just a title: Human Cognitive Field, a Threat to Galactic Systems. Zarn opened it. The report explained something strange. Something no one talked about anymore. Humans, it said, were not dangerous because of their technology. They were dangerous because of their minds. Their emotions were powerful, too powerful. Somehow their feelings could interact with machines. Without tools or wires, fear, anger, love, pain. These things didn't just stay inside them. They changed the world around them. Zarn leaned closer to the screen. This is impossible, he whispered. But deep down it made sense. The prison ship failed when the human opened his eyes. Not when he moved, not when he attacked. Just when he felt something. Zarn kept reading. The report called it emotion-based energy. A strange type of power that only humans had. No other species had shown it. No other planet had anything like it. Scientists couldn't measure it, they didn't understand it, so they banned it and banned Earth with it. One line of the report stood out: humans are not machines. But machines listen to them. Zarn's hands trembled. It was true, the human in the video didn't control the ship with a device. He controlled it with something else, something invisible. Maybe anger, maybe sadness, maybe just the desire to be free. The next day, Zarn brought his discovery to a retired professor named Vecna, who once studied dangerous species. She lived alone in the cold towers of the academy, far from the others. She looked at the report and shook her head. I've seen this before. Zarn's eyes widened. You knew. Many years ago, she said. Before the council banned Earth, I visited the planet. I was young and proud. I thought humans were weak. I wanted to study them. What did you find? Vecna looked out her window. I watched a human child. He was crying beside a broken robot. It was just a toy. But when he touched it, it turned back on. By itself? Zarn asked. Yes, she said. And not just once, I saw it again. Lights flickered near them. Small machines changed shape. I reported it, of course. But the council didn't want it studied. They were afraid of what it meant. Why? Because it cannot be controlled, she said softly. Their power doesn't follow rules. It's not logic, it's not science, it's something deeper. It comes from the heart, from memory, from dreams. Our kind doesn't understand it. Zarn sat down, overwhelmed. Vecna continued. That's why they sealed Earth. Not to protect humans, but to protect the galaxy from what humans might become. Zarn thought for a long time. Then he asked, what if they're not dangerous anymore? Vecna looked him in the eyes. Or what if they're more dangerous now than ever? That Night, Zarn watched the old video again. The moment the human looked at the camera, Zarn paused it. He stared into the eyes on the screen. Those weren't the eyes of a prisoner, or a soldier, or a monster. They were calm, focused, like someone who had seen everything, and still chose peace. But what if that peace could turn into something else? Zarn pulled up a star map. Earth was small, quiet. No ships in or out, no communication for decades. But something inside him whispered, "They're not gone. They're waiting." He saved the report, copied it to a secret drive, and looked at the screen one last time. There were no weapons in the footage, no explosions, no death, just one human, and a ship that obeyed him. Zarn whispered, "Maybe humans are the weapon." Zarn couldn't stop thinking about humans. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the prisoner's calm face. That quiet power, that strange control. It wasn't like anything he had seen before. Zarn had watched soldiers from war planets. He had seen machines that could destroy moons. But this was different. The human didn't use power. He was power. One day, after class, Zarn walked to the old library tower. Few students ever went there. Most of the books were dusty, untouched. For years, Zarn knew the digital archives were locked. But maybe, just maybe, the old paper books had something the computers didn't. He searched for hours. Nothing. Until he found a book with no title. It was black, small, and had strange marks on the cover. He opened it. Inside were drawings. Not alien, not robotic. Human sketches of cities, people, machines, and war. Page after page showed history. But it wasn't the usual kind. These drawings were filled with emotion. You could almost feel the sadness, the anger, the fear. Then he found something chilling. A page showed a human standing in the middle of a battlefield. Alone. Surrounded by broken machines. None of them touched him. His arms were stretched like he was calling something. At the bottom of the page were words written in an old galactic language. He remembered what they did. And the machines remembered too. Zarn's heart skipped. Machines remembered? He turned the page. More drawings showed humans inside alien ships. Some were prisoners. Some were test subjects. And on the last page, one line. You can silence a human's voice, but not his memory. Zarn closed the book. His hands were shaking. He had to know more. That night, Zarn found an old transport system deep under the academy. It was unused, but still worked. He followed the tunnel map to a forgotten storage center. Inside, the air was cold. Metal shelves reached the ceiling. Boxes with warning signs covered everything. He walked slowly. Then something caught his eye. A stasis pod. It was old, covered in dust, but still glowing. A living being was inside. And Zarn's heart stopped when he saw the face. It was a human. His body was still. His eyes closed. Tubes connected to his skin. The pod labeled him as Specimen, H07. Status, dormant. Location, confidential. Zarn stepped closer. The pod beeped. He froze. Then the human's eye opened. Just one, and it looked directly at Zarn. Zarn couldn't move. Then, softly, the human spoke. "You shouldn't be here." His voice was weak, like a whisper through glass. Zarn's voice trembled. "Who are you?" The human didn't answer. Instead, he asked, "What year is it?" Zarn told him. The human nodded slowly. "So, they still keep us frozen," Zarn whispered. "Why? Why are they so afraid of you?" The human looked away. "Because they did something, long ago. Something they don't want to remember, but we do, all of us do." "What did they do?" Silence. Then the human said one word. "Erased." Zarn felt cold. "They erased history?" he asked. The human's eyes burned with quiet anger. "They tried. But memory isn't just in books. It's in us, in blood, in pain." The pod started to beep louder. Warning lights blinked. "They're coming," the human said. "Go before they find you." Zarn stepped back. "But," the human's voice grew firm. "Go!" Zarn ran. He made it out just before a patrol drone flew past. His heart raced, his mind spun. A human was inside the academy, frozen, forgotten, but alive. And he remembered something terrible. That night, Zarn sat alone in his room. He stared at the sky through his window. Somewhere, Earth still floated. Silent, still banned, but not broken, not forgotten. Zarn now understood the truth. The galaxy didn't just ban Earth. It tried to hide it. Hide the guilt. Hide the fear. Hide the humans, but the humans remembered, and memory, Zarn now knew, was stronger than any weapon. Zarn didn't sleep that night. His heart was heavy, his mind raced. The face of the human in the stasis pod wouldn't leave him. That one eye opening, that voice, that one word. Erased. What had the council done? Zarn knew now. This was bigger than a ban, bigger than a warning. It was a cover-up. The next day, he sat in the back of the lecture hall, silent. The professor spoke about trade systems, politics, star routes, but Zarn didn't listen. He had copied the pod's location into a hidden file. He also saved the human's voice, just a few seconds, but enough. That evening, he sent a private message to Professor Vecna. They met again in the quiet tower, surrounded by old machines and dusty maps. "I found one," Zarn whispered. Vecna's eyes went wide. "A human?" Zarn nodded. "Still, alive, frozen, locked in our own academy." Vecna closed the door and turned off her communicator. "Then it's worse than I thought." Zarn leaned in. "Tell me the truth. What did the council do to Earth?" Vecna stayed quiet for a long time, then she finally spoke. "Long ago, when humans first entered space, the galaxy didn't fear them. In fact, we laughed at them. Their ships were slow, their bodies weak, their technology years behind." Zarn nodded. "That's what the history book said. But then," Vecna continued, "strange things started happening. Human soldiers survived, battles they should have lost. Ships returned home when their engines were destroyed. Computers glitched during battles, only when humans were near." Zarn remembered the prison footage. The council began studying them. Quietly, secretly. They took humans from colonies, ran tests, experiments. "Why?" Zarn asked. "Because they wanted to control whatever power humans had," Vecna said. "But they couldn't." "What happened next?" Zarn asked. Vecna looked down. "They broke them, tried to reprogram their minds, but the more they pushed, the stronger the humans became. One prisoner caused a lab's AI to melt down using only his thoughts." Zarn felt sick. "So the council banned Earth?" "No," she said. "The humans escaped. And after that, the council lied. They told the galaxy that humans were unstable, dangerous, that Earth was too wild, too chaotic. But the truth is that Earth rejected us." "Rejected us?" Vecna nodded. "When the council sent a fleet to Earth to take full control, something happened. No one knows the full story, but every ship lost power the moment they entered orbit. Not destroyed, just shut down. As if Earth itself said no," Zarn whispered. "And no one returned?" "None," Vecna said. "That's when the council sealed the planet and erased the files. They created the ban, not for safety, but to hide their failure." Zarn stood up. "So all of it was a lie?" "Yes," Vecna said. "The real fear was never about human violence. It was about human will, their ability to change the rules by existing." "But the galaxy believes the ban is for peace," Zarn said. "Because the lie is easier than the truth." Zarn paced the room. "And what if others find out?" "They won't," she said. "The council controls the story. Not for long," Zarn said. He pulled out his tablet. "I have video, voice recordings, and the location of the frozen human. We can show the galaxy." Vecna grabbed his arm. "Be careful, Zarn. The council doesn't just silence planets. They silence people too." Zarn nodded. "I'm not afraid," she smiled. "Then you're starting to think like them." He left her tower under the cover of darkness. He moved quickly through empty halls, avoiding drones. He uploaded the video to a hidden channel on the Academy's network. He titled it, "The Human Memory They Erased." Then he waited. The next day, whispers filled the school. Students passed the video around in secret. Some were shocked, others terrified. Then the council found out. Armed guards entered the academy. They searched rooms, shut down networks. They even arrested 2 professors who shared the video. But it was too late. The story had spread. Zarn went into hiding. But he watched as one by one, more students began asking questions. Files were being unlocked. Histories re-examined. A new thought was growing. Maybe Earth wasn't the threat. Maybe Earth was the warning. And somewhere, deep in the lower levels, the Academy, a human in a stasis pod opened both eyes and smiled. The Academy was no longer quiet. Every hallway buzzed with whispers. Screens blinked with locked files. Guards patrolled day and night, and Zarn was gone. No one knew where he had gone. Some said he escaped. Others believed the council had taken him. But the truth was something else. Zarn was underground, deep, beneath the academy in an old tunnel, hidden by the walls of time. And he wasn't alone. He stood beside the stasis pod. Inside, the human prisoner was waking up. The glass cover hissed. Cold mist poured out. Lights flashed yellow, then green. Then, slowly, the pod opened. The human sat up. His hair was short, his face calm, his skin pale from years of sleep. But his eyes were sharp. A quiet fire burned inside them. Zarn stepped back. "You're awake," the human looked around, confused. "Where am I?" "On Grolan Prime," Zarn said. "At the Galactic Academy." The human blinked. "Still here?" "You've been frozen for years," Zarn said. "The council hid you. They lied about everything." The human stood up slowly. "Of course they did." Zarn watched him. The man didn't move like someone weak. Even after so long in sleep, his steps were steady. "Strong. What's your name?" Zarn asked. The man didn't answer right away. Then he said, "They called me Subject H07, but my name is Eli." Zarn nodded. "I'm Zarn. I'm the one who shared your video, the prison footage." Eli looked at him. "That was you." "Yes," Zarn said. "People saw it. They're starting to ask questions. Some are scared, some are angry. The council is trying to stop it, but it's spreading." Eli looked down at his hands. He flexed his fingers. "How long since Earth was sealed?" 43 cycles, Zarn said. "No ships in, no ships out, no contact." Eli closed his eyes. "They're still afraid." "Afraid of what?" Zarn asked. Eli looked at him. "Afraid of the truth." Zarn waited. "We didn't want war," Eli said. "We never did. But when the council came to take us, when they tried to turn our minds into weapons, we remembered." "Remembered what?" Eli took a deep breath. "Everything." Zarn frowned. "I don't understand." Eli walked over to a nearby console. The old screen flickered on. "Our memories are not just thoughts," he said. "They are power. We remember pain, hope, fear, love. All of it lives inside us." He tapped the screen. It blinked, then changed shape. Zarn's eyes widened. "You didn't touch the system." "I don't need to," Eli said. "Machines. Listen to us, to our feelings, our will. It's not magic, it's memory." Zarn stepped back. "That's why the ship shut down near Earth." "Yes," Eli said. "Because Earth remembers too." The ground shook slightly, just a tremor. But enough to make the lights flicker. Eli's eyes darkened. "They'll come soon." "Who?" Zarn asked. "The council." Zarn looked nervous. "We should run." "No," Eli said. "We don't run. Not anymore." Zarn stared at him. "What are you going to do?" Eli turned to face the wall. "Wake the others." Zarn blinked. "Others?" Eli placed his hand on the wall. The metal vibrated, and then a door appeared, hidden, sealed for decades. It opened slowly. Cold air rushed out. Inside, Zarn saw them, rows of stasis pods, dozens, maybe more, all humans. Eli smiled softly. "They thought freezing us would stop the storm." But memory doesn't freeze. It waits. Zarn stepped inside, stunned. "They're all alive?" Eli nodded. "They're all like me, and now they'll remember too." One by one, the pods began to glow. A hum filled the room. Eli stood in the center, his eyes glowing faintly. Outside, the academy alarms went off. The council was coming, but something had already awakened. Not just Eli, not just the humans, but the truth. The alarm lights turned red. In the academy above, guards shouted and ran through halls. Students watched in fear. The council had arrived, but deep underground, something greater had awakened. Eli stood at the center of the hidden chamber, surrounded by glowing stasis pods. Human after human opened their eyes, slow, calm, powerful. Zarn couldn't believe what he was seeing. All this time, Earth's children had been asleep, hidden, locked away under lies. But now they were rising, and none of them looked afraid. "They kept you all here," Zarn whispered. "Why?" Eli looked at him, eyes steady. "Because they knew the truth, that our strength is not in ships or weapons or machines." "Then, where?" Zarn asked. "In what we remember," Eli said. "What we survive." The ground shook again, stronger this time. A council dropship had landed. Soldiers moved in with scanners and weapons. "They're coming," Zarn said. Eli nodded. "Let them." Up above, the council commander marched into the academy. His voice echoed through every speaker. "All students are to return to their rooms. Any staff found hiding information will be punished. We have full authority." But in every hallway, students stared at each other in silence. Many didn't move. Some had seen the footage. Some had seen the truth. Zarn turned to Eli. "What happens now?" Eli looked toward the pod room. "We send a message. Not just to the council, to the whole galaxy." He walked over to an old terminal. The machine blinked, then hummed as Eli touched it. Zarn watched as blue light spread from the terminal across the floor, into the walls, up into the academy systems. "What are you doing?" Zarn asked. Eli smiled faintly. "Unlocking the memory." At that moment, across the entire academy, screens lit up, not just in the classrooms, but in homes, ships, and offices. A new broadcast began. It showed images no one had seen before. Earth, shining blue and strong, humans helping each other after disasters, soldiers crying after saving lives, children holding broken robots trying to fix them. It wasn't war, it was memory. Then came the dark parts, the pain, humans in chains, humans screaming under experiments, humans standing against the council's machines, unarmed but unbroken. Every corner of the galaxy saw it, and the council could not stop it. In the command center, the commander slammed his fist against the controls. "Shut it down! It's coming from inside," the tech officer yelled. "Old systems, pre-banned tech, we can't stop it." Below, Eli stood tall. One by one, the other humans stepped beside him. No armor, no weapons, just eyes that remembered everything. Zarn stood with them. "What if they try to kill us?" Eli looked up. "Then they'll learn what happens when you try to erase the past." Doors burst open, the council guards rushed in, weapons ready. "Step away from the terminals." Eli didn't move. A guard fired a pulse weapon, but the bolt stopped, frozen in the air. It dropped to the ground, silent. The guards froze. Machines in their hands began to spark, their armor locked up, their helmets powered down. Zarn gasped. "How? Are you doing this?" "We're not," Eli said softly. He pointed upward. "Earth is." Across space, something old and silent had awakened. Satellites once thought dead began to turn. Energy from Earth reached out like waves. Quiet, invisible, unstoppable. Ships orbiting near the ban zone blinked, then turned. Not to attack, but to watch. Because Earth had remembered, and in remembering, it had spoken. The Council's network failed. Command centers went dark. Across the galaxy, people whispered, "Earth lives. Earth remembers. Earth is awake." The guards slowly lowered their weapons. One of them, a young soldier, took off his helmet. He stepped forward. "I saw the video," he said to Eli. I saw what they did. Eli looked at him with calm eyes. I didn't believe it before, the soldier whispered. But now, Eli placed a hand on his shoulder. Now you remember too, Zarn smiled. In that moment he understood. The humans had never wanted revenge. They wanted truth. They wanted their memory back. Because only by remembering pain can a galaxy heal. Eli turned to Zarn. Thank you, he said. Zarn blinked. For what? For listening. Above them, the academy stood silent. Around them, the humans stood free, and far across the stars, Earth, blue, quiet, powerful, watched once more. Not with anger, but with memory and hope.